Welcome to the Hopium Podcast, hosted by Jp3g and Burmpf. As always, this is not financial advice.
Cool. All right. Everybody, welcome today to the Hopium Podcast. Today is a very, very special episode. We'd like to welcome the man, the myth, the legend behind the mask himself, Frank. Frank, how we doing, man?
What's up, sexy?
Yeah,
for the listeners at home, I'm just like assaulted by how beautiful these two men are right now. So it's a good start to the podcast for sure.
Not sure if you caught the shirt that I'm, I wore it specifically.
Oh yeah, that's like definitely part of the sex appeal for sure, man.
I actually posted it on Twitter, and I'm not sure if you even saw it, but I had probably 10 or 12 people messaging me like, "Dude, how'd you get your merch already?"
Oh
like,
yeah,
this isn't official,
dude,
man.
Fucking merch, man. It's good, bro. I keep getting the samples in the mail, so at this point, I've gotten the hoodie and the T-shirt, and the quality is just like we were hyping up the quality, but it's actually next level. Like I'm pumped. It just takes a fucking second for it to ship, but I am excited for everyone to get their merch. Like it's nice. Like the hoodie, when I'm wearing that shit, I feel rich. Like it's kind of crazy. Like it's like that cut, it's just something about it. So I'm pumped. Yeah.
No, I'm excited. And I ordered, just for like a reference, like I ordered a monkey hoodie back in February and I got it in June. So like no rush.
Okay.
Like
that's a good standard to set. Hell yeah.
So but no, so once again, thanks for taking the time. And I know you're a busy man. Sit and chat with us. So it's easy to get kind of stuck on Twitter as we see you as Frank and Degods. But so for those that don't know, myself included, I just wanted to see what you could tell us just about you. Like who is Frank? Where'd you come from? How'd you get into crypto? Just to get to know a little bit about you.
Yeah, totally. Who is Frank? I'm 23 years old, and before doing Degods, I did a mix of stuff in the startup world. Started my own company out of college, went to Y Combinator. It's like the startup accelerator thing. Left that company and then did a slattery of growth engineering jobs at a bunch of different places that were like, seed to Series A to B startups, and kind of like got really good at that. And along the way, just like after COVID, like I just started just hating my fucking job, and my boys and I were trying to like do a bunch of different businesses, and none of them were really working out. And we kind of like started to just naturally fall into NFTs, and it kind of clicked for us, like, hey, like we kind of have the skill set. Our boy Delilah is raw with drawing and with art. I'm pretty good with the marketing stuff and just like kind of building and managing teams in a company and stuff like that. And then like the other guys in the team filled in a lot of ways, whether it was like developers, project management, and stuff like that. And so we kind of started at like, that's kind of how Degods started. And then the character of Frank, which is very much a character. It's an exaggerated version of myself, 100%. I wish I had the confidence that Frank has in real life. It makes it a lot easier when you're anonymous to kind of like really play into who you are, but like not be worried about people's judgment and whether it's positive or negative, honestly. And so, yeah, like who is Frank? Like, Frank is just a representation of the Degods team, in my opinion. Like Frank gets a lot of credit all the time on Twitter and also a lot of hate. But I tell the team all the time, like, hey, when people say good things or bad things about Frank, they're really just they mean what they really mean to say is the Degods team, but it's catchier to say Frank. So yeah, I just play that character. I'm just the voice and the fucking the fingers behind the tweets, but in reality, like Frank stands for, I think, the entirety of the Degods team.
No, and I don't think that. I mean, at least for me, I can't remember when or who I even heard it from that. Frank is not. I mean, that's not your real name, right? So I don't know if that's news to anybody or not. It was to me, and it just like it's weird because you get used to seeing people's Twitter handles, right? And like even to the people that I'm a little bit more familiar with in the crypto space, they call me JPEG. Like that's not my real name. But it's almost what I identify with.
JPEG's not your real name,
right?
What the fuck?
So
damn, you really can't trust anybody out here, bro. Wow.
No, so no, that's cool. thanks for sharing that. I know it's hard to kind of keep the balance of anonymous versus, and doxing yourself versus, the real you. And I think you do a great job with it, personally, which is kind of what has drawn me personally to the Degods, has a lot to do with you and the team. So credit to you guys there. And another question that we like to ask those that we have on here is your journey into crypto. Because obviously you didn't just wake up and say, hey, I'm going to make an NFT on Solana. So how did your journey into crypto start?
Yeah, I love talking about this because it's still a big part of me today. My first exposure to any type of crypto was in 2020 in the summer when I saw Michael Saylor buy a fuck ton of Bitcoin. I didn't know who the fuck Michael Saylor was, but I saw the headline and then I just like read into it and I heard him talk about it and I was like, you know what? Like this makes a lot of sense. Let me just like throw some bands in this fucking Bitcoin thing. And then the thing with Bitcoin is like, dude, once you buy some, you're like hooked. And that's when I just started like diving really deep. I read the white paper and my conviction levels like over that summer just got really strong. And so my whole first year, I'd say like up until the summer of 2021, like basically a whole year, I was a full blown Bitcoin maxi. And I still do have those tendencies. And I still do think Bitcoin is a really special asset that gets kind of like overlooked a lot in the crypto space. But yeah, like that was honestly my start. I started out as a Bitcoin maxi and I was just like really hating on all these altcoins. But the funny thing is that because I was hating on these altcoins so much, I was like doing a lot of research into them because I wanted to like not look dumb on fucking Twitter when other people were like making these arguments and stuff. And so I started reading about like ETH and Sol and all the different like coins like fucking AVAX and Cardano and all this shit. And like that's what made me get really into BSC shitcoin trading over like the summer of 2021. And if people that are listening know, like it was popping in it was popping in like the spring to summer of 2021, like anything on Binance Smart Chain. It was super fucking fun. And I got into that. I had some really big wins and some really big losses, but I was just like hooked at this really like degen culture of just like, man, like fucking you buy some shit, you complain about the devs until they fucking do something and then like watch the thing go up or down, sell that shit, dump on everybody. Like that just got me like, dude, like to the point where I was just not working at my actual jobs. I was straight up just grinding on fucking I was just straight up grinding on these BSC shitcoins. And what made it even worse was actually, I don't know if I have ever told this story before, but when I was a Bitcoin maxi, you have to remember I got into Bitcoin in 2020. I did not have a lot of money to my name. And so it was hard for me to get to my first Bitcoin. And my whole goal was like, for like literally the first half of 2021 was like, all I wanted to do is get to one BTC. That was the fucking goal. And my job was just not paying me enough. So I actually like secretly took on like 5 jobs. I was working 5 jobs at once, all in like growth engineering and all these different startups because I amassed a little bit of Twitter clout from like some of the stuff I was doing. And so these people would hit me up and none of these jobs knew I was taking on other jobs. And I just kind of like burned myself out a little bit. And at the same time, like I just fell so deep down the rabbit hole of like doing growth on the internet and like learning about all the mechanisms of how to grow something, how to make something viral, which was like my bread and butter and I had a lot of fun with. But then also at the same time, like just that grind to get to one BTC. And it's funny, I finally got there at like 48K in April when it was right before like the mega crash of just going down to 30K. So it kind of like broke my spirits. And I spent the whole summer just shitcoin trading on BSC to like make me feel something. And then by the end of the summer, I'd gotten really into NFTs through that process and all the group chats I was in. And that's when I like really, for the first time, felt like I clicked and fully understood something in the crypto sphere besides Bitcoin, because I was like, dude, okay, are altcoins always going to have value? Up in the air to me at the time. But what I did feel was like online communities are fucking real. Like I just spent the whole summer trading with these fucking strangers and it was like the most fun I'd ever had. And that's when it clicked for me. Like NFTs are just taking the numbers and like the boring shit out of it and actually just making it fun 24/7. And so that's when I was like hooked and I was like, man, I can't just sit idly by. We got to like make something. And we looked at Solana and we felt like, hey, this is like an open ecosystem. It's like nobody's really the dominating force here. On ETH, you got to like know people, you got to have like connections and stuff like that. On Sol, we were like, yo, like we could kind of create history here. And that's what got us really motivated to kind of start Degods. And it didn't feel like that when we launched it for sure to most people on the outside. But from day one with Degods, we always like, mostly it was jokes at the time, but we were just like, hey man, like what the fuck happens if we make like the biggest project on Solana? Like that would be crazy. And obviously like that ended up working out. But yeah, like at the time it was always the goal, but we just weren't super public about it because we were going down so badly for so long. It would have been really embarrassing to say we were trying to be the #1 project for sure, but yeah, that's like the whole story there.
Sure.
I remember when you guys started, I think it was the paper hands bitch tax, right?
Yes, sir.
Whatever happened to that?
Dude, it just didn't work, like, so the concept behind paper hand bitch tax, by the way, is the audio good here or should I adjust my mic? Okay.
You sound great.
Perfect.
So the concept behind the paper hand bitch tax, it was just like, okay, so we're coming on Solana, and this is like a theme across the board for Degods that I think now people are noticing more. We just don't look at anything as it exists in the space as gospel. Like we just believe like nobody's really looked at the space in first principles. And so like you can come up with really good ideas by just questioning the status quo. So for us, we were just like, yo, on ETH, OpenSea kind of dominates the whole landscape. And because of that, like there's no custom smart contracts on NFTs that are like possible, because the only way you could do it is like by doing it on the marketplace. And on Sol at the time there was just Solana, and dude, we minted around the time Magic Eden fucking launched, to give you a perspective of like how barren the landscape was at the time. And so yeah, like digitalize, exactly. So the concept was like, hey, if we're gonna launch on Sol, let's do something that's really Solana native, and let's build this custom smart contract. And what do people want? Like, what do people actually want? And when we launched it, we were like, yo, people want the fucking floor to go up. People hate paper hands. Let's just solve this problem. Like coming in as fucking startup nerds and all this shit. It's like, yo, let's just solve a problem and let's do it in a funny, creative way that will get growth and like get people excited. So that's where the paper hand bitch tax concept came in, where we tax people that list under the floor. On paper, it sounds fucking genius. I mean, a lot of people thought so, right? We were like one of the most hyped mints of that whole like era. But in practice, this is the key insight that I have of why paper hand bitch tax didn't work for us and won't work for any other collection, in my opinion. It fixates people too much on the floor, and people are looking at that floor of like, okay, it's right above the threshold for paper hand bitch tax, don't listen under the floor, when the real magic of NFTs is the true raw price speculation and the uncapped upside, because it's literally just fucking JPEGs and it's literally just community. So the magic of NFTs is actually when you can get a community to not focus on the floor and be excited about how high this thing can go and how big the upside is. And you strip yourselves from that ability when you create a mechanism that is literally designed for everyone to focus on the floor. So when we got rid of it, it just like created this open air towards like the future of Degods that was like an important catalyst for us to get to where we're at now. That was unclear at the time when we made that decision, because it was kind of unpopular to get rid of the paper and bitch tax. But in retrospect, I don't think anyone's complaining, but that was a very controversial decision for sure.
So I guess my next kind of question is, so we know a lot about what Degods has done. Where is Degods going?
Oh man, dude, I'm excited to talk about this because it's tough right now, because it's hard to see on the surface, because a lot of the stuff we're doing is to set us up for immense success post stuppies, which is basically when everyone is expecting like Degods to fucking dump, right? And that's kind of like what I've been like, that's what we're obviously, right? Like that's what we're working on, and like to make sure that doesn't happen. So to me, this is pretty simple. Here, I'm going to start out with a story / analogy that I think will illuminate the point. And this is the difference between Degods and duppies and how to think about it. So I've had this thought experiment in my mind. When I close my eyes and try to imagine what is the first $1 million NFT going to look like not $1 million one of one, like $1 million PFP collection. The floor is fucking $1 million USD. I close my eyes and imagine what the fuck could be behind that NFT that will make it so valuable. And when I close my eyes, I see a vision of like, you click buy on the NFT, you spend $1 million, and immediately you get connected with the fucking Saudi princes and the Silicon Valley execs and like the most powerful, interesting community of people on the fucking planet Earth, because those are the only people that will be able to be in that community. And so to me, what the future of Degods looks like is really creating the kind of environment that is a true online, like secret, shadowy, but also like elite country club / like online community. And what does this look like in practical terms? I think what it looks like is we start employing a lot more people that are focused on like making sure that we have constant events. There's local events for every cluster of DeGod holders at any given time. We're actively recruiting interesting, famous, talented people to come into the community. Like, and we're just creating the vibe where people in the community really value being in the community. On the external side, we just create a lot of marketing and do really interesting things that drive that perceived value for Degods. And that's like where I can't get into the specifics because they should be surprises and they are like pretty exciting.
Sure.
Potentially like a big auction, at like a big auction house that you might have heard of, stuff like this that just creates that vibe that like, hey, this is for like really elite people. And that's what I see the future of the Degods brand becoming. And I think the Degods art sets us up in a good way. And that was the initial concept behind Degods, was like, hey, if we want to be ambitious with Degods and really create a long-term vision, the art has to be absolutely immaculate. Otherwise, there's no long-term vision to talk about. And even when I talk to other projects now today, it's like I talked to a few projects, I won't say names, but I'm like, hey, like this is a bear market. The best thing you guys could do is go redo your art just like we did, because I'm telling you, like, it seems so intangible, but it sets yourself up for a proper fucking bull run. Because if you have a PFP that people actually like and can relate with, now you're actually talking about attention and things that, and something that people identify and care about. So when you launch something, people will actually give a shit, and that'll allow you to set up a proper bull run. But if the art is mid and you have like certain NFTs that just sit on the floor, it's really hard to get people to buy those, especially the higher up you go in price. Because when something gets to 50 to 100 SOL, which is like rare for a lot of Solana NFTs, now you're looking at that floor and you're like, dude, well, do I really want to spend 100 SOL on this fucking ugly thing? So you got to make sure that floor is elite. And so I'm coming back to the Degods thing. To me, like, that is going to be the vibe of Degods going forward, which I think ultimately maps back to, hey, now that our JPEG costs about $10,000 in current USD value, we're going to need to attract a different group of buyers than we did when we were degens, and like really getting the degen buyers at like 3 to 5 SOL, fucking 5 to 10 SOL. So in order to attract those buyers, we're talking about exactly what I described, like Silicon Valley elite people, like, Wall Street people that actually have like $10,000 disposable income or multiple $10,000 bands to spend on a fucking JPEG. We want to get those people in and get those people excited about Degods. Otherwise, we're never going to have consistent growth if we're not escalating and elevating our buyer base and getting those people excited. And then with Duppies, on the other hand, to me, what's super cool is this is going to be a large community. And the way we're building the brand, the theme around it is like forever young, like grow young is kind of what we like have made the tagline internally for Duppies. And like the concept is pretty simple to me. It's just like going to be a very wild, feral group of people, similar to like early Degods. But the technology we're building around Duppies is going to be, I think, first of its kind for any NFT project ever. And it's the most alpha I can give right now is it's going to be centered around profiles that people create for their Duppies, and there will be airdrops and experiences and events and things like this around that profile itself that will generate not only like you'll just do things and you'll get these badges and these things that are added to your profile, and over time we'll reward people that have done good things for the community or just been great members of the community, to create like a fair way to do airdrops and a fair way to like bring value to the best holders. And so like that's a very high level kind of concept behind Duppies. And now from like, hopefully from those two descriptions, people that are listening can see like the key to me with Degods and Duppies both succeeding after this mint is that they need to be very differentiated in the kind of people that they're attract and that are interested in them, but both of them need to have maximum upside. And like, you should be able to see why either of these projects can become one of the biggest projects in the world. Otherwise, what's the fucking point in doing this? You know what I mean? Like, why would we spend so much time on a second collection if we think it's not going to like be one of the best projects in the whole game?
So are the
sorry
two
for the long
collections
answer,
gonna
but
be,
that's like the whole summary right there.
are the two collections going to be connected? Like, are they going to be separate entities doing two separate things?
They're going to be two separate Discords, and they at first will be more like, because we're not going to have like a totally separate team working on it. At first, there will be some overlap, but in the long term, the way I see it is holding both a DGOD and a Duppy will be beneficial for whatever the next project and Dust will be beneficial for the next project that we do, whenever that is. But beyond that, I just think they're both two standalone projects that will have overlap in community, but if they truly are successful, they should both be standalone. And the best way to put, here's an analogy to think about it. This is something we talk about internally. It's like, if our goal is to make really strong IP, look at the strongest IP creators in the world. Like, let's just use Marvel as an example, right? Like the universe and the planet and the story of Doctor Strange and Spider-Man Like those are two completely different universes, two totally standalone IPs, but you put them on screen together after like building this fucking massive kind of backstory, community, and like engaged audience around both of those stories. You have no idea what the fuck is going to happen. And that is like liquid, that is like just insane attention and excitement that you create when you finally do those crossovers and you finally combine those planets. So it was a pretty conscious effort early on to make sure that Duppies has a really fleshed out kind of like vision, story, concept, technology, etc. Because then in the future, when we do something with both the communities together, it's just going to be like fucking powerful and something that people actually care about, as opposed to diluting that way too early on, you know? And especially because we want Degods to continue to like do really well, it would just be very dilutive in my opinion. And I've seen other projects do this and I hate it. If we like made it the same Discord and we put, you know, the Duppies community and the Degods, because it's like if Duppies cost like $5,000 for entrance and Degods cost like $20,000 for entrance, it's like, man, like should they really be in the same fucking community? Like, no, probably not, you know? And so we got to be fair in that way. So that's kind of the thought process on how they're connected. By the way, let me know if I'm rambling at any point, guys, because I can like try to shorten these answers.
No, you're doing good.
That's what we're here for. Now I'm looking forward to the Avengers version of Degods and Duppies and where that's going. Because I think that's a really cool way to put it. And I certainly never looked at it that way. And when you explain it that way, it makes me as a Degod holder feel a lot more comfortable with the Degods future with Duppies coming in, because now that analogy stuck in my head, you know, Spider-Man and its standalone universe, they're not afraid of Doctor Strange doing, you know, like that movie doing well, right? Because when you put the two together, you know, what was the movie, Endgame or Infinity War?
Yeah,
the
whole Avenger series, Spider-Man Homecoming, like they've created this really fluid universe of people that can come in and come out, and it's all strong IP. And the way I look at it too, here's an interesting comment on IP as well. Like everyone always throws the word IP around like really kind of loosely in this space, but the real, like, if you want me to distill down why there is an immense value in the IP in this ecosystem if done right, it's like Marvel took like 50 years to create something that is like at what we call today like the Marvel Cinematic Universe of like all these comics, all these storylines, all these different like, you know, production houses coming in, trying different things, etc. And what that results in is a business that is a fucking absolute monster, where they can sell lunchboxes, you know, stickers, T-shirts, whatever it is, to the masses, like a mass population. What's interesting to me about NFTs for the projects that do this in the right way is that you kind of shortcut to having a really dedicated, strong, but small and limited community very, very quickly, where that was not the case for Marvel. Like they didn't have a fucking super strong, dedicated army of Marvel fans early days. It took them a really long time for them to build out. But the benefit is it's not like it's token gated, so it could sell to everybody on the planet. The challenge with NFTs and what we're trying to solve is we want to build a track record of making really great standalone projects and making all of those perform really well in the secondary market, which will allow us in the future to create any IP that we want to, using the trust that we've built for our core team and our core contributors, to trust like, hey, if these guys, it's like, yo, we want, you know, just like when the new Quentin Tarantino movie's coming out, it's like, yo, like the Degods are coming out with the new fucking project. I'm aping, you know what I mean? Like we want to create that kind of trust. And if we're able to do that, that's what I think will allow us to scale an actual, you know, quote unquote cinematic universe, quote unquote like IP aggregating, IP aggregator, etc. Properly, where I think when you look at Yuga, Doodles, like all of these kind of like ancillary projects that are basically making the same thesis, my concern with them is, are people, can you like build that large of an audience without diluting the supply and the value of the scarce NFTs as they already are? Where like we don't want to do a Mutant Apes, we don't want to do like a Bored Ape Kennel Club that's like a pet. We want to just keep making fresh IP that doesn't dilute our previous projects, because I think that's just like the logical way to do it. And I think this will be copied immensely once we kind of prove this out with Duppies and Degods. And I feel like everyone's just going to go down this path. Just like everyone's going to start doing art upgrades. Everyone's started doing the raffles. Everyone's going to start doing the scholarship meta we're about to launch too. And the reason everyone does this stuff is just because, like, man, I feel like we're one of the few teams in this space that are just looking at shit like dumb logically, because we're not blind fucking moon boys when it comes to NFTs and crypto in general. Like, again, I mentioned now, like a Bitcoin maxi before this. For me, I'm like, people talk about Web3 replacing Web2. I'm like, all right, bro, chill the fuck out. Like, good luck replacing Fortnite. Like, they print money
Right.
every single day. Like, good luck replacing these Web2 businesses because they are absolute fucking monsters, especially the digital ones. So I'm like, yo, I'm not on the Kool-Aid right now. So we have to make things that are really logical and practical, in my opinion, in order to grow really big. And I think that's what's going to help us outpace everybody else in the short term and in the long term.
No, I agree. And that, so what you're saying is that I don't need two dead gods to birth my duppy, right?
No, sir. No.
And I think that's cool, and I'm excited to see where that goes. And I've mentioned this before on Twitter that like you and the teams, like you said, when I say Frank, I guess I'm speaking about the Degods team. You guys are always 2 steps ahead of everybody's concerns. Where people are like, oh, well, what's going to happen to the value of Dust? Oh, what's going to happen to the value of Degods? It's you guys have like you have addressed that internally, and you guys are thinking big picture, and you're just continuing to confirm that. And so if you're a DGOD holder, somebody that's potentially looking at owning a DGOD, that is why it is one of my most comfortable holdings, is because the trust that you make it easy to trust the team, right? And kind of what you guys are doing, which kind of brings up what we were going to kind of ask you about next. So go ahead.
Well, what I want to say, just to add there really quick, is I'll be very honest, because I appreciate the trust everyone gives in our team. And I think it's like, it means a lot to us to like keep pushing and like trying to do this stuff that's a lot harder, and we make less money, but it's better for the community. What I will say is, guys, we're due for some fuck ups. You know what I mean? Like, we're definitely due. Like, we had a lot of fuck ups in the early days. Everything is not guaranteed in this space. There is a possibility, like, I think we have it planned out, but there is a possibility that post the Duppy's min, it's like a really big down period. The market is bad, things dumb. These are all very much possibilities. And I don't want anyone to think that any type of like price appreciation is guaranteed in this space, especially in these market conditions. Like, I don't want anyone to get that sense. But what I do want people to like really understand is like, your comfort as a holder is probably our top priority. And I don't mean you specifically, I mean across the board with our holders. For me, I'm just like, I came into this thing from like degen shitcoining, and I just learned like what bad devs do and like what it feels like to be in a project where you're overinvested by a lot and you just do not have any understanding of where this thing is going to go. And that is like one of the worst. It's people joke about it, and there's like a lot of memes on Twitter and all this stuff, but like, man, as someone that experiences so many times, it's just like, that is the worst feeling on the planet fucking earth. And it's even worse when you like the project, the devs are communicative, but they don't listen and they don't actually understand the community's concerns. And I understand the community's concerns right now that like, hey, what happens after Duppies? What happens if the market is shit? Could this lead to everything crashing, etc.? And I want people to know that like, when we try to solve problems, we're going to the root of it. So when people kind of see how we're going to address this whole like post Degods, Duppies, mint, and like dump and all this stuff, it's like, it's not just some like, we're not attempting to do something that's very small or little. We're trying to make something that will solve the problem at its very core, but it's not guaranteed. We're in the middle of figuring it out right now. And that is the answer, is like, we know what the concerns are, but the actual like being able to deliver and execute on it is something that is some of the hardest shit to do in the world right now, at least in this space. And that's where, I mean, I'm not going to lie, like, we can't always be perfect. So we're due for some fuck ups. And I just don't want people to get disillusioned, because we will bounce back every single time. And I'm not worried about bouncing back. It's just, I don't want to lose some good holders along the way, but it's inevitable if we do fuck up, you know?
I mean, everybody, fucks up when you're in the spotlight for so long, like, it's inevitable. But I feel like a lot of it is like, you guys have built like such good trust that people just like have faith in you. So like, you guys might like fuck something up and like the price like might go down, but like the people that have been around, like, see you guys go from beginning to now, could still hold and be like, okay, I know like my money, my JPEG is in good hands, because you guys are like never stopping. Like, you guys have such good long-term vision. So like, I don't personally hold a DGOD, but like, if I did, like, let's say the Duppies happens, price goes down, I'm not fazed by that. Because like, I know you guys got stuff coming up. I know you guys got a plan. So I feel like that's something that you guys have that's genuinely like pretty rare in the space. Like, I don't know of many other projects that have that kind of, like, especially for me, like, I don't have faith in anybody in the space, like, I've been rugged so many times.
Yeah, probably.
So it's like, it's so hard to build that kind of trust. And I mean, maybe a handful of projects have that kind of trust. So to pivot a little bit, I know you talked about you guys' marketing strategy, doing big things, getting big players into the project. Is that kind of where the big three got involved, or how did that start?
I mean, to me, the big three, I'll say this. We bought the team for $500,000 outright. So this season we own it, next season we own it, up until we literally sell the team. And we pay no operating costs on it. It's like the league handles the operating costs. And to me, when that deal came across our table, it felt like an absolute no-brainer. Ran it by like our council of like leaders that we like elected like whatever, like 3-4 months ago. And it was like pretty unanimous to do it. And so we did it. The unfortunate thing is right now our record is 1-2. And if we lose this game, this coming up tomorrow, it's kind of like puts us in a really bad position. And I imagine people will clown on us and all that stuff. But to me, I just like see it as, hey, like next year we rename the team to Team Degods. And I'm like, at this point, I'm just so unfazed when we make like a logical decision, it will work out at some point in the future, and we will scrap together and we will figure out how to make this better. Sometimes when you take a risk, it may or may not play out. To me, it just seemed like a no-brainer. It seemed like a no-brainer risk-reward ratio of like $500,000, the branding and like the ability to say we have a basketball team on top of like the holder benefits for people that are in the area. It's just like, and for the price that we're getting it at, and the growth potential of the Big Three league, it just seemed like, okay, worst case scenario, we flipped this team for like 10 mil and we bought it for 500K like in 3-4 years. It's a no fucking brainer to me. But right now I could see that it's a controversial thing, especially if we're not winning, and that sucks. And it sucks to watch. I do think we got hoed in the second game by the refs a little bit at the end. Like, it was kind of fucking ridiculous. But hey, like, whatever happens, whatever happens. Really rooting for us to win this game. Could be like good if we come back to 2-2. We hate to be 1-3, but yeah, like that's kind of where we're at right now with the league. If I'm being really honest, we're way more focused on duppies right now. We like tune into the games. We like, send out the tickets when we need to for whoever's in the area. But look, my game plan with the league is if we end up getting into a playoff run, we'll definitely like that'll be like way after duppies kind of mints. We'll be in a better place. And I'm super down to like kind of go hard on the promotion and the hype around that. Maybe even fly some holders out the games, do it in dust, etc. For right now, it's just kind of like, hey, people that are interested, they can watch it. If not, like, trust me, we're going to be fine. The 500K is no sweat off our back. We're going to be okay, guys. Don't worry. And we will keep chugging along. So that's kind of how I look at it right now, to be honest.
Where can we watch it at?
There's a YouTube stream. We post it on Discord and Twitter pretty much every time the game starts. So tomorrow, I think it's at 6 p.m. PST. And yeah, we'll post like the YouTube link.
So for those that don't know, also there's can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I was getting feedback. So there are other big names that own teams in this league, correct?
Yeah. Gary V, Moonbirds. There's a NFT fund that used a Bored Ape as theirs, and then like Dogecoin as a team. There's this basketball DAO on ETH called Kraus House. I'm trying to think what else. Snoop Dogg owns a team. I think those are like the main names. Yeah.
So I mean, even if you take that investment, like, and you put it in that context, I mean, Gary V, Snoop Dogg, Ice Cube, like, he's on ESPN talking about the Big Three League, right? Like, these are opportunities for people to hear the DGOD name. And as for somebody that has, is a basketball fan who has watched First Take before, unfortunately, Ice Cube didn't mention, the team specifically during that interview, I don't think. But that's pretty cool. So I think that investment, like you said, I think there's always going to be, hate or people that don't understand it. But I think that taking that kind of risk is very cool, because like even watching, because I turned it on with some of my family, and that led to a conversation with people that don't necessarily know what NFTs or crypto, really what that is to begin with. Led to conversations with me helping just my parents even invest in Solana. Like, they own Solana now, because we got kind of like a conversation going about that. So I think there are side effects to that your average person in Solana might not see, but I like it. I think it's cool. I think it's a cool idea. I actually wanted to ask just a kind of question to go back to Dead Gods real quick, if you don't
Yeah,
mind.
absolutely.
The art and the idea to kind of pivot from the D God to the Dead God, was there a specific reason to do that? Is it like you mentioned earlier? Was it just to kind of get the appeal of the bigger masses, or because the Dead God art is amazing? I love the Dead God art, so I'm
Thank
very
you.
excited to see what Duppy's
Yeah,
turns into. But
I can't wait for people to see W's. Dude, I love these questions because I feel like, man, I should clip all of these because people ask me this like all the time, and I want to get like really good answers here. So the way we thought about Dead Gods and how the idea came about was very much problem solving, like 101. So here's what we were looking at, right? We were doing a lot of interesting stuff with the Dust like ecosystem with the Dust token. Like we started the raffles meta on Solana. We started like buying NFTs with our treasury, first project to like really do that. And we started raffling them off in our organic token. And like people outside of the community were buying it to participate in these raffles. Like there was a lot of traction around it, but at the end of the day, like this is the thing, it wasn't enough to create like a sustainable token ecosystem, like just whoever wanted to participate in these raffles. And because of that, we were like, okay, that's a problem that we need to solve. Like, so this is how I'll paint the picture. We need to figure out another key utility around Dust as we're building this Dust ecosystem out that will like stop this thing from becoming basically useless. And on the other end, I spend a lot of time. I spend way too much time. I have pretty much every major NFT on Solana, and I will basically like auth in with my. I'll send them to like my main Docs wallet, like one of them, because I don't want everyone to know my whole bags. And I'll send one of them to my main Docs wallet, and I will basically like be a part of every single Discord, like a major Discord on Solana, and pretty much daily. I do this less now, especially on the come up every single fucking day. I would go into every single Discord and search the word Degods in every Discord. And what I noticed, the overwhelming like kind of like jokes, memes, like bullying, cracking humor, whatever it was about Degods was how fucking ugly a lot of the Degods were. And I was just like, you know what? Like these guys, there's no point in fighting these. These guys are fucking right. Like, man, like the reason why a lot of people don't want to buy into Degods, even though we're doing like really interesting stuff on the technical side and with the community, is just because they don't aesthetically like the Degods. And so you look at these two problems: one, Dust utility, figuring out a really big sink for Dust and the Dust token, and then two, like the art fucking sucks and this is holding us back. And so when you put those two kind of problems together, we came up with this concept, which has now been, again, like first ones to do it, copied like a million times over. Will continue to be copied because I think it's a good fucking idea. We're like, hey, let's redo the entire fucking collection and make it like 10 times better. And the crux of the joke is that Delilah, our main, all the Degods, because there was so much hype around Degods, we really did rush the original collection. Like we did that shit in like 2.5, 3 weeks. And that was like, I mean, like, bro, we were dead afterwards, like high key, like Delilah like fucking died afterwards, but like did the collection in 2.5, 3 weeks. And Delilah, ever since the mint, was like, yo, I could have done so much better. Like, why the fuck do these things glow? Like, dude, this shit is so fucking dumb. Like, I hate the way this thing looks. And we were just like, damn, we just kind of accepted it because we didn't know you're allowed to like just change the fucking art for NFTs. And so that's when we kind of came up with the idea. We pitched it to the community and we shared like the mock-up of what a Dead God would look like. And off of that preview alone was the first time that we pumped from like back to double-digit SOL in 4.5 months off of that art preview. And that's when we were like, yo, holy fuck, guys. Like, it's been 4.5 months. We launched like a private Reddit forum nobody gave a fuck about. We launched this like blogging tool for compensating bloggers across Solana for making high quality content nobody gave a fuck about. We launched like this massive bounty program that now everyone copies, but at the time like didn't really move our metrics at all. And we've just been grinding. We launched Dust and these raffles, and like nobody, like it didn't really move the needle. And it was the first fucking time in 4.5 months of just like in a fucking abyss with nothing working, where something finally got fucking traction. And I tell people this all the time. For me, Degods hitting 10 SOL again after 4.5 months of basically like just nothing working will always be, for me, the most emotional moment of the entire like Degods journey. More than when we became number one in Solana, more than when we broke fucking 400 SOL floor price. Like for me, 10 SOL getting back there, I was like, okay, fuck guys, we actually like figured this thing out. And that's kind of what kicked off the whole journey. And the funny thing is, we thought we could finish the Dead Gods art in like a month, and we looked at it like 20 days in, and we were like, guys, it's not good enough. Like this is not gonna, like, people will sell the fucking news on this, because everyone was ready to sell the news on Dead Gods. And that's the joke of like the whole duppy shit. And that's why I think you see like people are like terrified to like fade at this time, because everyone was like, yo, Dead God's coming out, sell that shit the day before, you're gonna be good to go. And so yeah, like we basically delayed the mint by 2 months. We delayed it by a month, and then we delayed it by another month, kind of like what's happening right now with Duppies. Because like at the end of the second month, we were just like, dude, it's not fucking there yet. Like it's not good enough. It's just gonna get faded. And then in that final month, we got all our shit together. We had brought Scum and Candy Apple on like right at the end of the first month, and with them on board with Delilah, it was just like, man, by the end of it, we were like, guys, yeah, I'll tell you this. I'll wrap the story on Dead Gods up because I think it puts a nice bow on it. The night we launched Dead Gods, it was basically like we were supposed to launch it at midnight, but classic delay. We ended up launching it at 1 a.m. because there was like the Solana fucking TPS was like 200 TPS or whatever. Shit was just bricking, and we had some shit fucked up or whatever. But like the night when we launched Dead Gods, it was the first time in my fucking entire journey with Degods to that point where I did not give a shit about the immediate commentary or the immediate price action or whatever it is, because I knew that we had set up the tokenomics in a way that this would work out. And I knew that the art was impossible to fade. Like I just saw it and I was like, boys, like we did something fucking special here. 3 months nonstop, basically like no reward the whole time, because like nobody we didn't share a lot of previews of the art. Nobody really knew how much work was going into it. And that was what the magic of Dead Gods coming out was. People were like, wait a second, like what the fuck? Like I was thinking you guys are just gonna add some fucking knives and some blood or some shit. Like this is like completely blew everyone's mind. And so when I started to see those initial reactions, that whole next day, dude, it was like the first time in a long time with you guys where the team was like calm. And even if the price went down or up or whatever it was, like we were like, dude, we fucking did it. We did something good, and let's figure out what the next steps are. But like, let's fucking enjoy this moment. And so that's like the wrap up to Dead Gods. And so for people that don't know that are listening, at the time when Dead Gods launched, Degods was about it hit 100 soul, dipped back down to 80, leading up to the Dead Gods mint. And after Dead Gods minted, it kind of went up a little bit to like 90, held there for a bit, and then about a week and a half in, it rocketed up to 200 soul, and then about a month after, it went to 333 soul, and then it hit 400 after we bought the basketball team, and that was like the run up post Dead Gods, and it was like fucking incredible to watch because we planned that shit and it played out how we planned, and that was the first time that ever happened for us. And yeah, it was awesome. I don't know, I think about that time really nostalgically because it's just, dude, like that was the proof to everyone in the community, because we just didn't make it. We didn't make any money on. We didn't know how we were gonna make money on Dead Gods. We worked on it for 3 months. We knew we were gonna charge in dust. We thought maybe we'll make more royalties or whatever, but it's not like we were making a lot of money up until that point, and we held a lot of it in soul, and that shit was just going down hard. And we just had no idea and like how this thing would work out. We just wanted to make something for the fucking holders, and fuck the fact that it worked out, the fact that we made a lot of money after that, and you know, for the DAO, for ourselves and all that stuff. It was just like, dude, we fucking earned this. And sorry if I'm being a fucking simp right now, but it was like, it was like, that was the moment for us, right? We were like, yo, we can actually do this shit. Let's fucking flip you again next.
No, it's cool to hear the excitement and the passion behind it, right? And you have every right to be excited and proud of it. I guess the only other question I had was it because I've heard in the Discord people talk about it, or on Twitter, I guess. Now, I know there's some people that are going to hang on to their DGod specifically just because they want to keep it as a DGod. Are you guys wanting everyone to become a Dead God?
Yeah, it's like a no-brainer. Like you're just missing out on dust, and I promise you, you want that extra dust, dude. Like it's and we're gonna launch a tool that's gonna let you swap back to your original DGod if you like that aesthetic more. It's just like not high on our priority list, but it's gonna happen. It's been like very clear. I guess like with our Twitter, we need to get better with our website updates and all this stuff, which we are working on. But yeah, it's like not all this information gets disseminated to everybody. But I feel like anytime anyone asks me, I'm like, guys, like, I don't know what to tell you other than like, it is definitely a minus EV play in the short term, in the medium term, and definitely in the long term to like hold on to DGods, assuming there's going to be some extra rarity to it, because like in reality, that's not like, you're not playing the game right if you're not stacking as much dust as you can, to be honest. Like, yeah.
I agree. I just wondered what your thoughts were on that, because as soon as I bought an ape skin one, and instantly made it dead just because of the potential of what it was. And I don't know if people know, that's news to me. I didn't know you could, or you guys were implementing a tool that allowed you to kind of swap it back and forth. So that's,
yeah, why the fuck not, right? People want it. It's like, that's our whole MO, is like, yo, some people like their fucking DGod more than their Dead God. I like all the Dead Gods more, but like, I get it. You know, people have their preferences. So I was like, yeah, like we'll build it. It's just like, it's kind of complex. like the technology we built for Degods is like, that's my favorite thing about all the tech that we've built so far is like people don't look at Degods as like an engineering team, and we kind of want it that way. We want people to feel like, hey, this is like a brand, this is like a cool community, and the tech is more invisible than anything. Like we're not trying to be, famous foxes or like Blocksmith Labs or anything like that, where it's like very tech and tool heavy. The way I look at it is like the technology we built for Degods is fucking difficult and it was challenging, and we built a lot of new shit to do it. But the goal is for it to feel like a simple magical experience, and hopefully you enjoyed your experience on our Degod site. When you actually transcend the Degod, and like that's the goal, is like just to make it feel cool and fresh and not make you care too much about the technology behind the scenes. So yeah, like similarly with this whole like swapping back and forth thing, it's kind of fucking hard to do. We know how to do it. It's just a matter of like, bro, we're trying to build a lot of tech for Duppies, trying to like build more shit for Degods, definitely trying to build a lot for Dust Protocol. And so like, priorities, like we'll do it at some point, just like not right now, right? You can just get the fucking JPEG. You can just right click, save that shit right now.
Before you do it.
Yeah.
Like the whole fortune teller, the website, it is pretty cool. Now the count I know goes up for how much dust is required. Is that going to continuously go up until all of them are done?
Yeah.
Nice. So get it done now is what you're saying.
Yeah, bro. I don't know. Like, man, people just try. I think I tweeted this a while ago, and it's become like a little bit of it's like a micro niche catchphrase with the community. It's like, play the game, don't try to game the play. It's like, I have no reason to tell holders to do something that I don't think would be in their best interest. So like usually guys, like if I'm saying like you should dead your god, like if I'm saying like maybe like fucking, like think about maybe holding your dust and stuff like that, it's like, hey, like maybe Frank knows what the fuck he's talking about a little bit. I don't know. But people always will try to game it and all that stuff, but like, hey, good luck to them. So it's hilarious, dude. I remember when you joined the community, JPEG, because I was like, yeah, like this fucking guy's the chat. He just deaded that shit instantly. I was like, bro, like if I was a fucking spectator from Degods, that's exactly what I'd do. Collect as much dust as possible, as soon as possible. And yeah, like it's a no brainer to me. But yeah, I guess like soon Degods are gonna be generating 2.5 dust a day. So it's like, come on, bro, like get on that fucking Degod wave ASAP.
Right. That because the next happening is in August.
Yeah, it looks like it's gonna be like late August now. Yeah.
Okay.
I am pumped for the day that Degods dust emissions run out. I think a lot of people look at the space in a very one-dimensional way. The way I look at it is, when one thing ends, it opens up the opportunity for something new to happen. And so for me, like, and maybe we'll talk about this, not record on the podcast. Like I want to share because I'm enjoying this conversation. I'll share with you guys like the alpha on on like some crazy shit that's happening right now with like with Dust Protocol and like kind of what's happening next there. But like all I could say is this is the best way I could say high level without giving anything too serious like away. We are a bunch of fucking nerds that are, and most of the guys on the team are engineers first, myself included. And it is our dream to build software that everyone in the ecosystem and everyone across the entire NFT space uses. And if we can do that in a way that benefits the ecosystem we created and put it into our world, which is what Dust is exactly what it's supposed to be. It powers our ecosystem. That is the game plan precisely for what we are going to do. It is not clear to people in the public right now, but people need to understand that like something really big is in the works, and when it hits, yeah, like it is gonna be fucking disgusting, and people will see like, yo, like Dust is so much more than like fucking Baroque Dragons or like these other, whatever, like staking NFT projects. It's like, bro, like it's different, dude. We're building something mad different. Like nobody's doing what we're doing. Yeah, so I'll tell you guys after the podcast for sure. Like it's pretty sick. It's in the works right now. Yeah.
Well, and that's cool to hear because I get that like I've had conversations with people because after I sold my Coral Bear and I went in on Degods, people were like, dude, what are you doing? Like Dust is only gonna, it's only gonna hold the value of Degods for so long. When Dust is done, you're gonna see all these people that are gonna dump their gods because the only reason they're holding is for Dust. And it kind of goes back to, and exactly what you're saying right here is, no, I like there's more to it than just like, yeah, I mean, sure, if you just want to buy a Degod to collect dust and sell it, then you're gonna miss out on.
You're missing. You're definitely missing out. Yeah, you're definitely missing out. Like, dude, I just show me an example of something that we've ever done where I've told people it's important in our 9 months of operating. I've told people it's important that like it didn't end up being important. Like there's nothing. There's zero things. Like
Yeah.
if I'm like, if I go out of my way to say like, yo guys, like we care about this thing like a lot, and we're not gonna like just let it fucking disappear and go to zero or whatever. It's like, bro, like I mean it. Like I'm not capping here. Like I don't. But you know, hey, at the end of the day, man, like people that play the game, like don't try to game to play. They're gonna fucking be happy. And the people that don't, it's like, yo, like man, I don't know how much more fucking clear I could have made it. To be honest, I don't.
Hey, I learned my lesson the hard way. So
It's all
I mean, of
good.
all people that would know, right? It'd be the founder of the project.
Hey, so who's giving you shit on selling your coral bear and moving into Degods, bro?
Uh-oh.
maybe I mean, I wouldn't say so. I mean, we can talk about it after as well. I don't want
Nah,
to
dude, if they got a problem with you, they got a problem with me. Let's talk, dude.
It was more of like and it was honestly a weird thing, because when that sold, I can't tell you how many people I had actually message me that for some reason felt like that they needed to give me advice on how to spend my money at that point.
Wow.
It was kind of wild. It was like, they're like, okay, well, what are you going to do? How are you going to spend it? Where are you going to put it? Be careful on what you do. Like people are going to, which I will admit, like that there were a ton of projects and or people that reached out saying, you know, hey, I'd like to talk with you, which is odd timing, because it's like, okay, now that you know that I just, you know, have a shit ton of soul sit in my wallet. Like, so no,
Yeah.
I'm not going to respond to that. But there were a few that were just like, and it was before like, there was a couple I remember specifically after I bought my first DGOD that were like, hey, just be careful. Like, you know, people are going to use you to buy their projects or whatever it may be. And so whether it was genuine concern or whatever it was, I didn't understand it. But it was just interesting to see the people that came out of the woodworks to give their opinion on how to spend my money.
How much did you sell your coral bear for?
1675.
Oh my god, dude, what a dub, dude. That's
It-
fucking huge.
Yeah, aren't you happy you sold it when you did?
Yes, so
JPEG?
yeah, so Burmpf, he told me to sell it forever, and I like, because I bought that thing for 29 soul.
It's
So
crazy, bro. What a dub.
I
it
was
was like-
screaming from the rooftops telling this guy, like, dude, that's way too big of a bag. You're going to write it to zero.
and so I think
And he almost did.
I almost did. And so I sold, and the funny part was, and I don't know if you know this, but I was connecting my ledger to delist it at that exact moment. And as soon as I connected my ledger and I put in my passcode, I went to go open my Phantom wallet to go to Magic Eden to you know, to delist it, and I saw the balance of soul sitting in there.
Wait
And,
a
you know,
minute.
and at first
How
I was
did
like,
that get there?
I was like, what in the fuck? Like just happened. Like, and you know, at first it's like this, I was like, wait, like no way, like it did not sell. But no, I'm super grateful for that. It's really changed my, you know, whole spot in the Solana NFT ecosystem. And you know, I immediately converted some into USDC. I put 30,000 into USDC.
Dub. Big
and then
dub.
yeah, and at the time, I can't remember what Solana had come down quite a bit, but if I think it was around maybe, you know, Burmpf around $70, I think Solana was at the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah,
And-
probably.
And so I've been DCing and buying some more soul on this dip, but no, it's, for me it was I actually held a DGOD when they were like 20ish or so. I
Mhm.
bought and I had some then, and I was pretty young into the NFT space. So
Mhm.
when they took off, I think they kind of went on a rally. I think they hit close to like, you know, 40, 50. I was
Yep.
like, cool, that's a solid 2x. And I still miss the guy. I had a Twitter banner actually made with him
No
on it,
way.
and I'll have to see if I can find it. He was a clean. He was
What were the trades?
he had the porn stash. He had no shirt. He had the paperclip necklace,
Nice.
and the, was it marble skin?
Might have been marble
um,
skin.
And
You have to find this and show this to me when you get a chance.
yeah, and that was it. And like, so he was super clean.
Clean
And then-
boy. Yeah.
And then now I look back, and I think I literally sold right before you guys announced Degods. So shitty timing on,
That's
on my
wild.
part. So
Yeah.
I learned my lesson, and like I've always seen, and I think everybody on Twitter has seen like your presence. I've listened to spaces, you know, that you're on. I mean, so when I sold the coral, it was one of my goals was, you know, I'm going to be, and I've talked to many people about this, heavily involved in the DGODs, and so I have zero regrets on doing so.
Dude, let's fucking go, man. That's an awesome fucking story, by the way. 29 soul to 1600 soul. Like, that is a rare occurrence in this space. Like, that's fucking sick. And I'm glad you moved some of it in the stables 100%, dude. And yeah, I want to make you fucking proud and make you feel good about your decision on Degods for sure. That's the goal. I care about that shit.
So.
Yeah. No, I do. I really do. I think about this all the time because, like, yeah, you know, you got, especially when it's like super big sale and it's like public like that. And there's a lot of DGOD holders that, like, dude, it's a big part of their identity is like contributing, like repping our fucking brand. And I always say this, like, my framework for like, how do you get people in your community that like actually are great contributors to the community, like great members on the Twitter side and the Discord, etc. And the key to me is actually way more simple than people make it out to be. It's not about incentives as much as it is about embarrassment. And what I mean by embarrassment is the worst feeling in the fucking world is spending a lot of time, effort, even potentially putting your public image against like a project on a project that ultimately like the devs and the team don't back you up on by like doing great stuff. So you look like the fucking moron for like actually believing in these guys. And that, like, I think actually drives a lot more behavior in the space than like many other things that people think are more important. So for me with Degods, I think it's almost like we've learned this from the downtime that we had, where that we did have that core community that like really did carry us through that downtime, to the point where certain mods like changed the whole trajectory of Degods because they gave us like a fucking wake up call, and they were like, yo, you have all these core guys that aren't going away, even though you guys are like continually fucking up, and you guys are fucking this up, but like you have something special here, wake the fuck up. And this is like December last year, like true bottom of Degods. And if that didn't ever happen, we would have never, I don't think we would have ever like really woken up and like changed everything with Degods. But point being, we had that core group of people, and now it's like, okay, when they kind of held, they carried the load for us for a while, and then we come in and we're like, all right, guys, thanks for carrying the load for us to this point. We're gonna take it from here. We're gonna do some dope shit with Dust and Degods and all that stuff. And now in this downtime where we haven't really launched a lot of stuff, you know, and we're kind of like building out for fucking Duppies and what the future of Degods is, and like the secret Dust thing that, you know, pretty excited to announce at some point. Like the community is like carrying us. So like now it's like building up to the point where, hey, we want to make sure that everyone that backed us doesn't feel embarrassed for like putting their reputation, their predictions, and like, you know, their brand on the line for like repping Degods really hard. Like, let's make them proud. Let's make sure we don't let them down. And that's like it's a much more intrinsic human motivation that helps us like not burn out and not get lost in like the fact that the space is literally just fucking Twitter and like these PFPs that you're talking to. You sometimes lose the human aspect of it. But when you really think about like holders that like care about their online presence and their identity, and they're putting their ass on the line to like defend us, it's like, hey man, we got to like show up for them as well. And I love that give and take with communities. So that's my ultimate take on like communities, and like how do you get people to like be fucking awesome members of the community? Is like, hey, you prove as a team like you're gonna have their back, and then they have your back in return, and that's like the best combo to create, you know?
Absolutely.
So something you could give a unique perspective on, how does it feel? Like, or is it ever, I guess a better way to phrase this is it ever feel weird that your project is the #1 project on Solana? By a lot, by the way. Like, it's like double the next project.
Yeah.
Like, is
honestly,
it ever like trippy or like how this happened?
I'll tell you this, like, there's like a different muscle to build things under pressure and expectation than without any expectation or pressure. And the early like run up for Degods, we kind of had this thing where like everyone was fading us. Nobody except for like a core small group of people really thought we were going to be #1. Like, there's a guy that's pretty famous on Twitter now because of his call. Like, Soul Big Brain follows him now literally, and like follows his calls, because back in like January or February, Degods floor price was at 10 Soul, and Monkey DAO, like SMB, their floor price was at 230 Soul or something like that. And he tweets out, Dow Jones, he tweets out, I believe in the next 60 days, Degods will flip Monkeys in floor price. And everyone was like, do you mean market cap? He's like, no, fucking floor price. And like, dude, that guy low-key had more conviction in us than we fucking had in ourselves at that point, because it was really like a very small group of people that had immense conviction in Degods. And I feel blessed that those guys are fucking balling right now, which is like super cool to see. But like, point being, that was a different muscle where it was like, yo, nobody really believes in us. We kind of do whatever the fuck we want. It's kind of like Wild West. let's just like keep fucking going and like build really cool shit. Fuck up, who cares? Nobody's gonna give a shit. Keep moving. And that was like the vibe then. The vibe now is like, yo, we can't disappoint. And like that is ultimately like what, you know, the last time we felt this was like leading up to Dead Gods, and that's why we delayed the mint. And even now it's like, it's even that times 100. And so to me, it's not like it feels weird, because what feels weird is that we're not the #1 project in the world. And that's what annoys me more than anything. I'm like, okay, well, what do we need to do? Let's problem solve. Just like we did with Dead Guys, just like we did with fucking Dust, just like we're going to do with Duppies. It's like, let's problem solve. How do we get there? What do we need to do? And what are the steps? Like, let's figure this shit out. For me, what's like the new feeling now is like, it's the first time where so many people have universally really care and are invested and like give a shit about like the quality and the success of with the next thing that we're creating, which is Duppies, and like post Degods future, like after Duppies and Dust and all this stuff. So to me, that is a weird feeling for sure. And it's something I'm always adjusting to, is like, hey guys, we are no longer ever allowed to put out anything that is mid. Like that is the rule. Like I would rather us delay. I would rather us like take our like, and not like jerk off and delay, but like, hey, like this is good. It's not great. And that's kind of where we're at right now with the Duppy stuff. It's like, hey, when we made the it's an unofficial announcement. I got to like make the official announcement ASAP. But like the reason we delayed it was honestly because we were looking at like a lot of the stuff we had made to this point. And we were just like, guys, this is good, but it's not great. It's not unfadable. And when it's not unfadable, it is immediately like fucking horrible when you're in the position that we're in, because people have the like beyond the fucking what is possible on the planet Earth expectations for us, at least like in our little niche bubble of like the Solana NFT community, etc. So that's the weird feeling, is like, guys, we can experiment, but we can't experiment like we used to, and that's like something to adjust to for sure.
So I think this is just one of my last questions. I'm not sure about you, Burmph. So I wasn't able to go to NFT NYC. We actually, Burmph and I talked about going. And so I'm interested to get on kind of your take on how it went, how the get together went, how Solana and Ethereum NFTs, if they meshed at all, or how that kind of was. And then I guess it's kind of a two-parter question for DeGod holders in the future. Are there going to be like, and I'm sure there will be, get-togethers or future meetups in different parts of the country, or just specifically for DeGod holders? Because it'd be interesting to kind of see if that's the case. Because I think for me, that's something that, as now that I'm a DeGod holder, I think that's a really cool play, is that some of these guys, it's like a brotherhood, a family, not just a brotherhood. And so getting to meet these people and associate with them in real life, I think that's one thing that takes my conviction to another level. And so kind of a two-part question. So how was NFT NYC, and then DeGod's future meetups, if you will?
Dude, it was beyond anything I could have possibly expected. For me, being a fucking internet dweller, nerd guy, whatever, growing up, I had never like really seen the value in IRL events. It's like whenever I saw that in like the roadmap for a project, for example, I was just like, bro, I don't give a fuck. Like, dude, if you look at the DMAP, man, like our holders are all across the fucking world. Like none of them are ever gonna be able to come to one specific event. So coming into NFT New York, I was kind of just like, yo, this is gonna be like, we kind of have to do this. Like we want to have a presence in NFT New York. It's not gonna be anything crazy. It's being cool, whatever. Dude, first day I get into New York, I'm basically like fiending for fucking weed because I can't sleep, and it's like 2, 3 a.m. and it's like New York, so I don't know where the fuck to go. And I just tweet out like, "Yo, like anybody have weed in New York?" And like 20 people fucking DM me in the first minute. So I delete the tweet, and then I find like the DeGod holder that's like from one of the people that DM me was a DeGod holder, and I invite him to our hotel, and we just like meet up, and he brings like weed and we smoke. And while we're talking, dude, it's my first like 2 hours after landing. He's like, dude, Frank, you changed the trajectory of my entire fucking life. I minted 2 DeGods back in the day when you guys like had your mint, and I never bought any NFTs or crypto for that matter up until that. I just saw the art on my Twitter and I liked it a lot. And I got my brother after you guys minted. We bought all the way up to 14 Sol. We bought all the way down when it went all the way down to 3 Sol, and they ended up accumulating like 30 something DeGods along that process. Jesus fucking Christ. And
damn.
and they've only sold like 2 for like 100 grand to this point. And he's like, dude, my life was just looking in a completely different direction up until like fucking Degods. And then he told me I mean, I told him I don't know if this is a good idea, but he's like, yo, I pay my rent every month in dust. I was like, all right, like, bro, I mean,
Hey,
but
it
I was
works.
just like, dude, regardless of whatever, like, bullish on dust, but like still coming into like the whole week, that was my first experience, and that only got amplified times like 100 throughout the whole week, meeting all the DGOT holders. And it was like the first time, I realized like how fucking real all this shit that we're doing is, and like kind of like our potential for just continuing to do this, like us continuing to succeed and quote unquote dominate, which I'll tweet about, like the Frank character will tweet about and all that stuff. Like, yeah, like that's what Frank wants, but like me as like, what do I like and what do I think our team cares about more than anything, dude? It's like it's changing fucking lives. It's like, man,
Yeah.
how fucking sick would it be if everyone that ever touched our projects and believed in us like came out of this like with financial security for the rest of their fucking life. And there's no way for us to guarantee that. The only thing we could do is put in work and like try to make the best project possible. And then like the results will work themselves out. But like, man, internally, like that's what made it very clear for me that whole week was like, dude, we're guys, like this is fucking real what we're doing. And if I were to die in a fucking year from now when we accomplish and we become the biggest project and all that stuff, like I could die fucking easy. Like I get to like a really dramatic level, but it's like real, man. Like, yo, I did something with my life that actually fucking matters, that actually helped people, which is like something I did not expect was going to happen coming into this space. Like I was a very much degenerate kind of guy coming into this space. So that was like on a personal level, my impact from NFT New York, but on a more tactical level with the project itself, um, dude, I just like realized, man, like IRL events, what it is, it's not for everybody, but for the people that do like it, it is another deeper level of connection to the other people in the community. And this is where my thesis around that like $1 million NFT thing I mentioned earlier of like what the future of Degods looks like. To me, I'm like, man, there's no reason why we shouldn't have local events all the fucking time, for Degods, do these bigger flagship events, but like really double down because people that are in the same area, they get to connect over this. Like these are some like lifelong friends that have been created just in our fucking Discord and on Twitter and all that stuff. And like actually seeing that is different than like reading about it on Twitter. And it illuminated to me that doing things in real life, connecting our holders in deeper ways than we currently are, is 1000% going to be a part of everything we do going forward. We just want to do it in the least cheesy / like overly expensive way where it's like, it's actually like, we called it the Slumpus house party because I think we only spent like 30-40 grand on the actual event. And then we got sponsors like Metaplex and Phantom that actually like made it pretty much free of charge for us, which was sick. But like other projects are spending like upwards of 500,000 to $1 million to $2 to $3 million on their events, and they make it open to the public, which is like, it has its purpose, but I don't know any floor that pumps because of like a public event at like any of these projects. So when you really map it back, like, man, I just loved how locked down it was. You run into anyone, you ask them what their fucking DGod story is. Everyone has a crazy story. And yeah, it was like a fucking frat party at one point too, which one comment I have on the frat party thing is that like, people were like clowning on us for fucking having the mosh pit, shoeies, whatever it is. And look, all I'll say is I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, our goal is to constantly like elevate and market and make sure our project is oriented towards people that can actually afford their NFT and like getting in new groups of buyers. And look, man, like people can clown on us for being the frat boy club, but I'll tell you this, every major country club, Soho House, like all these major things that people pay for when it comes to like fucking Wall Street, like all these things are essentially like extensions of like people trying to recapture that moment in their life when they were like a fucking frat star or like they had no fucking like they were carefree, like just like they felt like the whole world was in front of them, all this stuff, that youth that is like that carefreeness and just like I don't give a fuck, we're rocking, we're vibing, fuck it, we ball, like that energy I'm very confident will attract the kind of buyers that will allow us to like continue to grow when it comes to just like the core metrics of the project, like floor price and all this stuff. And also like just getting the community to like have this experience that you just really never be able to find anywhere else in the world. Like actually having like somewhat of a brotherhood and sisterhood, like, shout out to the goddesses because they like were down with the vibes as well, right? They were in the fucking mosh pit too. It's just like building that is fucking special, man. And like, say what you will, people spend tens of thousands, if not hundreds of $1,000s in a weekend at a fucking club, trying to feel like the kings of the fucking club at tables and bottle service and all this stuff. And if we can create that in a more wholesome way and in a more like family oriented way, with our holders, like, dude, then we succeed and we've elevated our entire collection community And yeah, like I don't give a fuck about that criticism. We'll keep chugging beers out of shoes.
Sure.
That's what we fucking like to do, you know? Yeah,
It
so
looks
that's
like
like my
everybody had a
summary
good
on
time.
yeah, and
Looks
that's my
like a
summary of
blast.
NFT New York.
Cool. No, and I think that's cool. Like, I think that that's one thing that, from what I've understood and just talked to people that went, is that it kind of took those connections to another level. And I think that's something that's kind of underrated in a degree to, because not everybody gets that opportunity to go to New York. And that's why I asked about, you know, different local events. And I mean, that's something that holders themselves can kind of even take upon themselves to get together. Like I've chatted with people from Vegas, because I'm not too far from Vegas, about you know, if they do kind of a get together. So I just think that that's one way to, just another way to build conviction in your holders. I think that bond goes a lot further than just the JPEG at that point, right? So
Give me 5 years, we'll have a Degods Island.
let's go.
Yeah.
That'd be fucking dope.
It'd be fucking sick. I thought about
That'd
it.
be
I'm like,
fucking
yo,
awesome.
like honestly, even if it's not for the whole year, if it's like a timeshare and we just do like a summer thing where it's like people come in at different, like, you know, weeks of the summer, so you have cohorts, and that's like, maybe it's not just Degods, it's like Duppies and all that stuff, like have a big enough group of people
Yeah.
that like would make it would make sense for. To me, I'm like, yo, we are going to build this thing into a fucking monster. And our goal will always be to treat our holders like fucking gods, and like our holders should feel like gods. And like the more and more we can stretch that and like make that crazier and crazier, like you kind of have to in this space anyway. Like once you do something big, you have to do something bigger, and you can't go backwards. So to me, it's like inevitable at a certain point we keep growing, like we're gonna have to buy a fucking island, and we're gonna have to fly DGOT holders out there like on fucking dust private jets or whatever. Very long-term ambitious goal, but like I think it'll be the ultimate. I described the $1 million PFP, like that's what that would look like, right? You have your own,
Yeah.
you buy it, you get access to all these fucking people, you get access to a fucking island, like that's what that would look like. Who's gonna fucking build it? I think we're gonna be the ones, and I think we're gonna fucking do that shit. Yeah, 100%.
I say let's do it. Like I'm just a holder, but no, like I'm all for it. Obviously, that's really cool. So, Frank, man, I appreciate your time. I know Burnt does as well.
Yes, sir.
This has been
Appreciate you guys.
It's been amazing. Like both Burnt and I, like we were chatting before. Like, bro, I don't think I've ever been this nervous before. Like, what the hell? Like, so you taking your time, man. Like, one, I appreciate it. Two, I think it shows a lot about who you are and kind of your values and who you are as a person. So I appreciate your time. I know you're a busy guy, so I know this is no small task for you to take an hour and a half out of your time. But
I appreciate you guys a lot, and I'm excited. When are you guys gonna post this?
I will go through and edit it tonight. I'll try. I can get it out tonight or in the morning. So,
Dude, let's get it out tonight. Honestly, like I think it would be sick as fuck. Like, yeah, honestly,
so
Love how excited you are.
because it's been a minute, like since I've done a podcast. I feel like this is pretty bullish. It'll allow me to like go back and focus on Duppies a little bit more if we just get like people fucking pumped on like some of this stuff and all that. Like I'd be down as fuck. Yeah,
I'll
I think
get
that'd be
it out
sick.
tonight. Yeah,
He's like, fuck, I'll be like, type it on my keyboard.
come on, give me. Cool. Well, that's all for me. Burp, do you have anything?
No, man. I mean, closing thoughts kind of thing. I fucking love the energy you bring to everything you do, you know? Like, and even something as small as like just talking the two of us, it's just extreme energy all the time. And I like charisma is like one of the traits of like great leaders, you know? So this conversation has made me a lot more bullish on you guys. Like, I'm sitting over here like, fuck, what am I getting rid of? How the fuck am I getting
Hey man, everyone's saying Degod's gonna dump after Duppies, so like you could probably just wait, huh? It
I'm
should work
watching.
out. Yeah, it should work
like
out.
a fucking hawk? I'm watching.
Yeah. Everybody and their mom is like predicting that, so I'm sure like that's exactly what's gonna happen. That's usually what happens in crypto, right? And when everyone predicts something, then that thing
Then it
exactly happens. Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah,
I guess
no,
all you can say on the stage, you'll see me in the Discord soon.
Let's fucking go, man. No,
Cool.
guys, this has been awesome. I love the questions you guys asked. Really great interview. Yeah, I'm excited to get people's take on it. Do you guys upload this on YouTube or
Pretty much
Twitter?
everywhere, man.
Okay, fuck yeah. Hell yeah.
YouTube,
YouTube.
Spotify, Apple.
Awesome. And
Cool.
do I need to send you guys anything, or you have all the recordings on your side?
We got
We
it.
should be good.
Okay, awesome, guys. Great talk.
So we would normally ask, where people can find you. I don't think that's a problem. I think everybody
Yo,
knows
guys,
where you're.
find me on Instagram at Frank Degods. No. Especially if you're an e-girl. No.
Oh no. Oh, no.
Oh,
No,
man.
just playing, of course.
But really?
But no, yeah, no, I'm on Twitter at Frank Degods. I'm on or follow the Degods NFT Twitter account. And yeah, I think like those are the two main places to find me.
Very cool. All right, man. As always, I appreciate your time.
Appreciate you All right. guys. All right.